Hey, what's happening? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to do something, maybe start a business, even have a YouTube channel, do something great? There's this inner thing that's just kind of pulling you towards something. Maybe you want to make a lot of money. And, Jim Rohn has said, has said a lot of great quotes. And this is one that he said, if you can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. Today, we're going to walk you through the power principles of creation. And literally, you'll be able to unlock these principles today after you listen and after you watch this. So go ahead and cue the intro.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
All right, man. Unlocking the power principles of creation. Jay, with a healthy accountant here, helping you to account for your life. What an awesome and incredible day, man. Look, thanks for joining. Look, so you're probably saying to yourself, oh, wow, man, I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel and be like Mr. Beast. Hey, I talked about Mr. Beast last week, talked about him and his friends and what they did. I don't know that they use these power principles, but they definitely use some biblical principles when it came to being successful at what they're doing. So if you didn't catch that one, definitely catch that one. But really, these power principles, these aren't mine. I just want to let you know these are my principles. I've actually taken them from one of the books that I love to read. It's called the Bible, right? And so, we talk about the Bible a lot because the Bible has all the answers in it. Have you ever been looking for answers and said, man, where can I find them? The Bible has the answers. Now, here's the thing. The Bible is written in such a way that many of us decide that, you know what, it's too much, or I just can't understand it. Look, if that's you, I'm just like you. Look, don't even think I'm smart, because I'm not. I'm just like you. Like, I'm a person who had a lot of struggles, a lot of problems. And out of those problems came why I'm sitting in front of you, because I knew that there was more, because I wanted more. I said, man, I would like to have more money. That's what I said. Can I get a witness? Anybody here want to have more money? That was me. From the time I was a little kid, I wanted more money. I would go into my dad's wallet at night, pull out a 20, put it under my pillow, because I says, there's something here that's for me. I was like, man, I know it. You can have more. You can have more than you've got because you could become more. Now, today, we're going to unlock the principles. And these principles was pulled right out of the Bible. Bam, pulled it out. So you don't actually have to go and typically find the principles. If you read Genesis 1 and 2, they're going to be embedded into Genesis 1 and 2. So what's principle number one? Principle number one is this. God is the sole creator of everything, right? God's the sole creator. Now, well, actually, this is the overarching principle. So this is kind of like, before we get started, let's make sure you know who's behind everything. So when we're thinking about this for us, right, make sure we understand that God is behind everything. And really, the very first statement that's made in that Genesis chapter 1 is, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So if you didn't read any further, that literally that could have been the whole chapter, because it could have just said, hey, look, in the beginning, the highest power created everything that you're going to experience. What? Yeah, created literally everything. So if you're not religious, hey, the Bible is not religious. The Bible. I remember when I first heard one of my mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe, teach on what this book is. You know what he called it? It's a government book. It's a governmental book. What does that mean, governmental book? It's a constitution. Just like how the United States has constitutions, just about every country has a constitution, a set of laws, a set of, kind of best practices. This is kind of how we do things. That's what the Bible is. That's all it is. But here's the problem. We tend to not always know everything in the Constitution, right? Or we're trying to change the Constitution. You cannot change the Constitution. At least this one you can't. Now, you can't change the United States Constitution because people vote, right? Because we live in a democracy. And because we live in a democracy, let's go ahead and change laws. We can't change these laws. So when we're thinking about unlocking these power principles, and all we have to first do is say, okay, God's the sole creator. He's done everything already. He has already put everything into place. He controls all the forces. He even can control me if I allow him. Because if we really want these power principles to work for us, then we're going to have to say, you know what? If God's the sole creator of this universe and of this world and all the worlds, then I'm going to recognize that. And I'm going to say, cool. So that's the overarching principles. Principle number one is simple. It is there's order and purpose to what God was doing. Order and purpose. So when we think about designing our life, when we think about designing the business, when we think about designing anything, we got to think in an orderly fashion and think with purpose. Have you ever started something and quit? Started and quit. It's kind of like, hey, first of the year, people start, I'm going to lose some weight and I'm going to get into the gym. Like, I've had a membership at Planet Fitness since 2014, and I've been going ever since. There may have been a short time when I fell off. And I say fell off, it was so I got it in 2014. I went between, I think it was like the latter half of 2014 and then all the way through to like January of 2015. And I fell off from February, March, April, and I didn't get back on a horse until May of 2015. That was the last time I fell off. May of 2015 is when I said, you know what? This is going to change. But it was around October, November of the same year that I came under new awareness. And this new awareness was that I want to live healthy. I'm going to do whatever I can to be healthy. And if that's going to the gym, great. If that's turning vegan, which I'm not vegan, but I did try it for about 90 days. If that's just adjusting how I eat and not drinking different things that doesn't do well for my body. Like if that is the case, then I'm going to do everything to live a healthy life because health is wealth. Now, here's the thing. When we think about purpose, right? Because that's what we want to talk about really quick. When we think about purpose, we have to think about, man, what's the reason that's going to keep me going instead of quitting? What's the reason it's going to keep me going? Is this just like I'm doing a push-up challenge right now? And what's the reason why I would keep going in this push-up challenge? Has nothing to do with the challenge. It has everything to do with what I said that I would do in 2015. I haven't been able to stop. It's so weird. It's so weird that, and so you wonder how people stay successful. Is it they're not being driven by the action? They're being driven by something that's inside them. I was in a training recently, and they were talking about this driven and drifting. How successful people are driven, but unsuccessful people drift. Now, this drifting concept is in a book that I read a few times, written by Napoleon Hill. It's Outwitting the Devil. And this book is amazing because it's like Napoleon Hill is having a conversation with the devil in this book. Like, they wouldn't publish this book. It took them years and years and years to publish it because people were afraid. They says, man, well, this is too eerie, this conversation that he had with the devil. Did he really have the conversation? See, here's the thing. The devil is right next to you, or the devil is in you. How do you know? Because there's a good side of you and there's an evil side of you. So we all can probably talk to the devil just because there's a bad and a good in us. All of us. Yep, that's right. I said it. There's a bad and a good all in all of us. And so Napoleon outlines how the devil gets people to drift. They have no order. They have no purpose for their life. They're not driven for anything. They literally keep giving up on themselves, and they say they want to do something. They want to lose weight. They want to start a business. They want to be successful and make more money. They want to have a great family. And then the obstacles come and they drift towards those obstacles. But God said, if we have order, well, he didn't say it, but he had it. If God had order and purpose to everything he was doing, and if we apply that to our life and everything that we would do, we would unlock that power principle, which is the order and purpose principle. Second principle. What's the second principle? Creation is good. What does that mean, that creation is good? See, God repeatedly throughout creation kept saying that this is good, this is good, this is good, this is very good. So the principle teaches us that the material is fundamentally good. It's fundamentally valuable. Like, that's what God is teaching us, because it's countering any belief that physical existence is inherently evil or corrupt. Physical is not, there's nothing evil or corrupt in this physical world except for the things that we allow to drift in that direction. So let's think about it as we are working to unlock these principles of creation. Order and purpose starts it off, right? Sorry, and the overarching is that God is the sole owner of everything. God is God. There's no Miss Universe. Miss Universe was created by God. Let's just get that out there. Miss Universe, I was talking to the universe. Ain't no talking to no universe. The universe the universe is a created thing. Just like everything else, it was created. God created it. So we have to make sure we understand that as an overarching, everything that we do is underneath the umbrella of the sole creator. Order and purpose starts it off, right? Order and purpose starts it off. In that segments, when we're segmenting the order and purpose, we've got to make sure we look at it. Like, I'm in the process of creating right now. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm in the process of reimagining our business and reimagining my life. And as I'm reimagining and I'm looking at different ways, I'm creating the order, creating the purpose behind the thing, because I'm like, man, if we really want to get to more people, then there has to be an order to that. It's not going to come by happenstance. We're not going to luck up. You don't luck up and all of a sudden you just have millions of followers. You don't luck up and all of a sudden have millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars coming into your business or in your bank account. You don't luck up and just have a beautiful anything. It comes with order and purpose, and realizing that as one thing is done, we got to recognize it. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. That's worthy. I don't want to mess that up. I want to keep doing it over and over and over. And, in January, when I started doing my push-ups, 500 a day, I didn't know, like, God led me into it. And I said, all right, God, I'm going to do this. It's going to be painful, but I know that you're leading me into this because there's a purpose behind it. The purpose is just leading me back to this. Well, God's the creator. God wants me to take this process and he wants me to use it. He wants me to apply it. I had to take myself in a painful situation. It's painful, right? It's painful to do it. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He called me up. He says, man, what's this 500 push-ups a day, man? He says, dude, I can barely do 50. I'm like, dude, okay, just keep doing 50. He says, man, my arms is hurting, man. It's burning. I said, I know, bro. It hurts. But what we build, we can get we can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. Jim Rohn read the Bible. Everything that he taught was literally, well, I can't say everything because I that would be too general, but I would say a lot of things that Jim Rohn taught was a biblical principle embedded in there somewhere. I remember the first time I heard him. I remember the first time I heard him talking about the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. He talked about the Sermon on the Mount, and it was so cool the way he weaved it into his whole presentation, but yet it didn't sound religious. And that was the first time I had heard personal development in that way. That creation is good, right? So when we do something, we've got to see the good in it so that we can, it's kind of like if you can see the good in it, then that means you got to keep it. You got to keep that as part of how things get done. God don't have to come back and create the animals. He created a process for that, and it just keeps working. God don't have to come back and create the ground and create the grass and the seed bearing stuff. He don't got to come back and create it. He created a process for that. So as we go into our creation, what we got to realize that the process of creating it will be the good that goes to help and change the world, right? Then we've got number 3. What is your role? Humanity's role in creation. When God created man, the Bible talks about the human and the special role within creation. We didn't have a role to create. We didn't have a role to create in creation, but he put us as a creation within creation to then show us that we will be creators. Did you catch that? He put us in creation to show us that we would be creators. How do we know that that is true? He said, what did he say? He said, let us make humans, in our image. Let us make them in our image. See, this principle highlights the unique status of human being amongst all God's creations, implying responsibilities toward the Creator and the created order. What responsibility did God give us in this process? He wants us to manage everything that he did. He wants us to cultivate everything that he did. He wants us to look after it. He wants us to increase it. He wants us to multiply it. He wants us to multiply what he already created. So let's think about these power principles, right? We're almost finished. Let's talk about these power principles. God's the overarching creator. So we have to understand that everything that's created is created by God, everything. Even the bad stuff, because people use God's framework in order to do it. So God is the owner of everything, good and bad. So God's the overarching creator. He's the owner of everything. See, that's the first thing we got to get. Like, if we don't get anything else out of this, God owns everything. He owns your whole life and your body. He owns your experience. He owns your ideas. He owns it all. So if that's the case, then we have to really come under the revelation of that to even unlock anything. I'm not saying you couldn't create and have a successful business, marriage, but here's the thing: you would not have a successful life if we don't come under this awareness. I won't have a successful life. No, we won't have a successful life. See, because if we don't acknowledge that God is Lord. All right, let's keep going. So that's it. Then the order and purpose of everything. There's a specific way, and then there's a specific reason why things get created. So there's the way and the reason. The way and the reason, order and purpose, right? And then there's the fact that when something is going to be created, we got to know that this process is going to be good. When you figure it out, it's kind of like when they figured out when 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 all the great creators figured this stuff out, when they created the light and they created electricity and they created the phones and they created all the stuff, when they created all these things and they realized it worked, they was like, this is good. Let's keep doing that. We don't have to create it again. We know how to do it now. We're just going to keep replicating it over and over and over, multiplying and multiplying, multiplying and multiplying. What? That's, yes, I got this ring light in front of me. When they realized how to do it, they said, this is good. We don't have to create it again. All we got to do is keep replicating and replicating and creating and making it and making it. It's good. Then our role in the process, which was to create, because when God put us in creation, he showed us that, hey, I'm putting you in here by creating you, but then I'm going to also give you responsibility to go behind me and now create. Not the same way. You're not going to create the things that I created because you don't have that ability, but I am going to give you the ability to create. And then lastly, the principle of rest. After we're done, after God was done, he was like, oh, this is good. Oh, I'm done. Wow, let's take a rest. See, the problem that many of us have had is that we're resting and we haven't finished anything. It's kind of like the 5-day work week. That's not biblical. The 5-day work week is not biblical. It's a 6-day work week. Oh, well, Jay, what do you mean it's a 6-day work week? It says it in the Bible. He created 6 days and then rested on the 7th day. So if that was good for God, then why wouldn't we do it? Who came up with the 5-day work week? I don't know. I mean, it's probably stuff we can find out who did. It's not biblical. So if we're doing a 5-day work week, then that means we're actually going away from these power principles. Then if we're going to align ourselves with these power principles, we got to realize that we got to give ourselves time to rest, right? But here's the thing. Let's go ahead and get finished. Let's get finished first. See, God finished in 6 days. Now, here's what's interesting. The reason why God had to bring in this as a commandment, this is my assertion. So, but you got to study this for yourself. This is what I personally see in the Bible when I read in Exodus. Was it Exodus 20? When I read in Exodus 20:12 through whatever that is, God created his commandments. And when he got to number 4, he says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, he had to bring that in because he was dealing with people who didn't know the order. And he had to go back and teach them. So he needed them to understand that principle of rest, because what y'all doing right now is not really what I want you to do. So let's go ahead and give you a rest day. This is my day. This is the day that I set apart for myself, but I'm going to allow you to use it. I want you to use that day to get rest. And I want you to use that day to reflect. I want you to use that way to come back into an alignment with me. So if I'm not in alignment with God, that Sabbath rest is everything. That's going to get me back into alignment. Oh, I get in alignment on Sabbaths almost every week. I get more in alignment. It's nothing. I love Sabbath. I love the 7th day of the week because I literally get more in line. I'm happy not to be working, but I am working doing what the Father has me doing, which is aligning myself with him today, aligning myself that whatever his purpose is for my life, I can then allow that purpose to come out of me. But I use that day to align myself. So would you say that the Sabbath rest is important? I would say that it's very important. And he said it was good, right? So if whatever God said is good, then that means that that's something we should do. That's something we should take notice of. All the stuff that he said was good. So we've got to get into this thing where when we finally figure out something, we finally created the thing, when we say it's good, it should be able to run by itself. Man, this is helping me today. I don't know about you, because I'm in the process of creating something, and I'm in the process of making something really big. And as this is, guys, this is spinning around in my spirit right now, teaching me. I love God. I love God because he uses me. He uses my mouth to come out to record for you, but he uses my mouth to come back inside, and the words to come back inside to me, so I can then see, oh, this is what you were saying to me today. Oh, this is how that would work. So we just got some power principles. And if we do them, because we got to do them. If you do them, if I do them, you will unlock creation. You will unlock things in your life that could change not just your life. It would change your family, your friends. It would change the people. The people, that's why we're here. We're here to help people, each other. So when you change people's lives, that means that you are working in your God likeness. As you work in your God likeness, and as you discover your God likeness today, use these power principles. Go back and listen to this again. Use these power principles to help you change your own life, because you got to change your own life first. Change your own life. And then after your life is changed, then go out and help others to change their lives. So guys, this was unlocking the power principles of creation. Make sure you implement, make sure you allow this to just get into your spirit, so that you can and will account for your life and everything else that you're doing. Guys, I'm Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and all the other platforms that you might be listening on. God bless, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.